One of the biggest questions surrounding the recently announced Legends ZA is when it will take place. In the future or in the past? Now it is my firm belief that the game will be set in the future, and that this becomes obvious after you look at the trailer for long enough. Arguments I will be using to show this involve the specifics of the blueprints, what we know about the gameplay, the other side's own arguments, what we know about the plot, and what Game Freak generally seems to be intending with this trailer. My first argument is simple. The plans laid out for Lumio City involve small details that seem impossible for the past mind to dream up. Even during the sketches, the people are wearing modern clothes, as opposed to anything recognizable for the 1800s or any other time period that this game would take place in. Then, when we do get to the futuristic wireframes, there's somebody who very clearly seems to be on their phone. Credit to Bubblegum Forums user Young Gramps for noticing that one. I get that Nostradamus was a guy, but not only was he 300 years too early for most fans' guess time periods, he didn't intend to be this detailed. Secondly, not long after ZA was announced, Nintendo of America made a tweet saying that the game would be set entirely within Lumia City. Whilst we're not certain that this claim is correct, it's a very particular word choice and it would be unwise of us to sidestep it. All that being said, I have no clue how they'd fit that around the game set even 40 years in the past. The common solve seems to be that the protagonist will travel out into the areas that will be built up into Lumio City, but not only does that seem to avoid the one reason why you'd want a game set in the city in the first place, but you wouldn't honestly consider an area that you're going to later develop into a city to be a part of that city, would you? Thirdly, some of the arguments that people use to say ZI will be set in the past are really bad. I get this is tantamount to cherry picking, but you don't understand. These arguments are really bad. Take, for example, this Bubblegum user saying that the wireframe section is, quote, the style of blueprints, which, given the best possible read, is just not an argument for it being set in the past. If we're being more favorable to this person, who has not listed their pronouns, mind you, it could be referring to how blueprints looked in the past, like in the 1800s, which is just so obviously not the case. Then there's this user on the same thread who argues that Pokemon Legends ZA can't be set in the past, since it has Legends in the name. And I don't mean since it's another entry in the Legends series. No, I mean because it has the words Legend in the name. And finally there's this person I just randomly found on a YouTube poll, saying that ZA can't be in the future because it's about an urban redevelopment plan and quote, Lumios is already an urban city in X and Y. This is another one where, if interpreted without deeper interpretation, it's just not an argument, and if you do interpret it generously, then it becomes not even basic media literacy failure. This is just not how the English language works. If you redevelop an urban area, then it is still an urban redevelopment. A good reason why ZA can't be set in the past is that the goal of the Lumios reconstruction, to create a beautiful coexistence between people and Pokemon, is not achieved in X and Y Lumios. The only Pokemon who can be assumed to be wild in X and Y Lumios are some furfrou dotted around the place. If your planned Pokemon Paradise requires them to either be owned by someone or be a furfrou, then maybe it's not as progressive as you think it is. Some people have chosen to argue hardware limitations, but it can't take that much of RAM or memory to make a park area or show some other Pokemon roaming about. And my final point is that if I were to advertise, or even tease a game set in the past, the Legends ZA trailer would not be how I go about it. I counted how much time is spent in each part of the ZA trailer, and these are the results I got. Of the 117 seconds, 6 of them are in the introductory logos, 10 seconds for the Mega Evolution tease, 18 for the game logo, 38 seconds for the paper blueprints, including the text briefing on the redevelopment plan, and 44 for the wireframe. It's clear that the greater attention is given to the futuristic bit. Adding to this vibe is the music, which, while staying vaguely baroque during the opening blueprints, veers sharply into techno and stays that way for the second set of sketches, even having what I would call a beat drop during them. I would like to point out that the Legends Arceus trailer had nothing like this, so it's very easy to avoid. And in the paper and neon blueprints, the one thing they are unified on is their focus. Not the construction of, but Z finalized Lumios. The one thing this trailer is trying to sell. So, two options. This game exists in what is the same Lumios as X and Y and have that somehow be a selling point, or have the completed Lumios, the selling point for the game, be only available in the very late or even post-game. Neither of these options are good. So, in conclusion, yeah, it's gonna be set in the future. If I had to sum it up in a catchy logline, then I'd say that my main problem with people who believe that Legends DA will be set in the past is that they over-focus on one part of the trailer without paying any attention to the other parts of the trailer, or any of the details. Oh baby, I'm blinded by the light. No, I can't sleep if I can't feel your touch. Baby, I'm drowning in the night. When I'm like this, you're the one I trust. Hi, I noticed that this video was running short on runtime, so I decided to drop all of my ZA predictions here without any justifications. The choice for protagonists will be Callum and Serena, same as X and Y. The game will start with you, Callum/Serena, and maybe Shauna attacking Zygote in Terminus Cave so that it doesn't interfere with the reconstruction recently after the events of X and Y. The capture fails, and the player gets put in a coma while Shauna and the other player option escape. Throughout the game, it's frequently implied that the ZAE player was the rival in X and Y, and that game's champion is the other player option in this one. This all culminates at one point when the other player option outright calls themselves the champion. In this instance, you have the starter that is super effective against theirs, and the Meowstic on your prologue team. You wake up in Pokemon 2025 with no Pokemon and a broken Pokedex. You make it back out only to reveal that you woke up outside of Terminus Cave, but in a cavern beneath the redeveloped Lumios. The first person they contact after making it outside is the X and Y champion. It's noted that the player has not aged. This is later revealed to be because of Xerneas. The XY champion has gotten together with Shauna. The A Pokemon is based off of Yomanganda and has an Ouroboros symbolism going on with it. There'll be a Neo Team Flare who will be an obvious analog for Neo-Nazis. There'll be a non-binary ally character. A plot important MacGuffin will be given to the non-binary character at one point, and will be stolen by Neo Team Flare who attacked them simply because they were non-binary. Also, if Legends ZA isn't set in the future, then I'll make a short film where I dramatically commit suicide by swallowing my Pokemon Legends Arceus cartridge, and then another character, also played by me, steals my identity because they look just like me.